Good afternoon and welcome to Indie Business Radio. I'm your host, Donna Maria, and it is Monday, June 22nd. You have arrived at the one place where we empower you to enjoy your life, build your business, and have your way. Well, you know, all of us are familiar with what's called the law of attraction and different kinds of laws of success, and we really can't get away from those kinds of concepts in today's society. But today we have a guest who's going to kind of break that down for us. There are all kind of mantras out there and sort of buzzwords, but there's not a lot of meat on those words. There's not a lot of people who are really available to explain what it means on a day-to-day basis for regular people, small business owners like us, and our guest today is going to work with us to do that. His name is Dr. Dennis Kimbro. Dr. Kimbro is the author of several books on success, including Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. His honors include various awards bestowed by the business community as well as the Dale Carnegie Personal Achievement Award. Currently, he teaches on the faculty at the Clark Atlanta University School of Business Administration. He has also served as a national judge for the prestigious Ernst & Young USA Today Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. Dr. Kimbro's writings have influenced people the world over, and he has worked with some of the world's largest and most successful companies, including Walt Disney Corporation, Frito-Lay, and Citicorp. He has appeared on The Today Show, Larry King, CNN, and has been featured in Success Magazine, Wall Street Journal, The New York Times, and USA Today on numerous occasions, sharing the keys to success and achievement. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kimbro.
Donna Marie, thanks for having me.
You know, I'm sitting here with some of your books, and I know we're going to focus today on one that I know some people may have heard of before but don't really know a whole lot about. It's Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. And I'd like for you, if you could, Dr. Kimbro, just share with us a little bit about how this book came into existence and what does the one and only Napoleon Hill have to do with it?
Well, for your listeners, your readers, those who might tune in to you, they probably know the name Napoleon Hill. He was by far America's most prolific self-help writer. I mean, here's a guy who writes 16 books in his lifetime, and 6 of his books, Donna, you can go to any Barnes & Noble, Borden's, Amazon, and purchase right now. His first book, entitled Laws of Success, in which he spent 20 years researching at the request of Andrew Carnegie, but his all-time bestseller is far and away Think and Grow Rich. At last count, more than 16, 17 million copies in print. Now, what your listeners may not know is that Napoleon Hill was a white gentleman born in Wise County, Virginia. But at the end of his death, what he was attempting to do, the last project he was working on, he was attempting to write a black version of that all-time classic. He got 100 pages into the manuscript, died of a stroke. He was approaching 87 years old, and W. Clement Stone, who was Napoleon Hill's business partner at the time, held on to those 100 pages for 16 years until the day that I walked into his office.
And that's an interesting story. Now tell me, do you have any insight into why it is that Napoleon Hill thought it was important to take his work and target it specifically?
Well, he wanted to make sure that no one was left behind. You know, what people have to understand, and you mentioned the fact of The Secret and various other self-help books, they're all based off of natural law. And natural law it depends on your religious persuasion, if you're Jewish American, if you're Muslim, if you're Christian, whatever. These are very old books, the Talmud, the Koran, the Bible, but they're ahead of the time. So you take the Bible, for example, Donna, and you take all 66 books written by 40 authors, and you don't have to read everything from Genesis to Revelation. But you take that Bible and you assay it down and you say, just give me the critical components. Tell me what I need to know. And it comes back just 2 key points. Number 1, believe, and number 2, be not afraid. Well, it doesn't make any sense until you've encapsulated that in your life. And at the time he was attempting to do this, we're talking the late 60s, early 70s. This was a volatile time in the history of this country. Black Americans were having doors open to them that should never been closed in the first place. And Hill wanted to make sure that this particular market segment was armed with the traits, the keys, the qualities that would certainly spell out their success.
One of the things that right in the front of the book is a story that I think is so great. I'd like for you to share it with our listeners. It has to do, I think you call it the diamond mines. Tell us that story.
Acres of diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and, I've heard that that's a true story. And it's a story of, two African farmers, and one African farmer, he finds a fairly, he hears about other farmers in Africa, searching for diamonds, and people getting rich overnight by stumbling upon these gems and everything. So he has a fairly large farm with a creek bed that's going right through the middle of it. And he sells his farm and he sells his property to go on a prospecting. He just changes his vocation, to prospect for diamonds and gold like other farmers. Well, the farmer that he sells the property to one day is just, walking his vast property, and he stumbles upon the creek bed and he finds this large gleaming gem, and he takes it home with him, and he throws it on his mantelpiece above in his fireplace just as a curiosity piece. And a gentleman comes by his farm and he says, "Man, what is that you have right there?" And he says, I just found this on my property. And he says, "It's one of the largest diamonds I've ever found." He says, "Can't be a diamond," because he didn't recognize what a diamond looked like in its rough state. And he says, "You got to be kidding me." He says, my creek bed is loaded with these gems. Well, the first farmer who sold this property, who went out, looking for acres of diamonds, never knew what a diamond looked like in its rough state. And here is the farmer that now owns his property, and it became one of the largest diamond mines in South Africa. And several people have told me that that's a true story. Well, to use that metaphor, we as individuals living in a free and open society, we don't recognize the opportunities that we have in front of us. And what is an opportunity, Donna? All it is solving a problem. People say, well, I want to get rich, I want to find my acres of diamonds, I want to find my area of excellence, I want to find my life's purpose on earth. Well, it all begins with finding a problem and solving it. And so many people, they uproot themselves, the grass is always greener on the other side, you've heard that cliche and whatever, never knowing that the traits and the qualities and values that they currently possess on their own acres of diamonds, what you have inside of you, are just as valuable as anything that you could ever search for outside of you.
So as small business owners, which pretty much all of my listeners are, a lot of us sort of feel like we are...
Look for somebody to serve. If you're a small business owner, every problem that you have, every problem that you encounter, and I've heard that this is a tough economy, as if the economy is someplace out in the hinterland. No, the economy is within you. Any problem that you would ever have or ever encounter can be solved by the implementation of one strategy. Sell your way out. In other words, go serve somebody. If you've got a problem in sales, go serve somebody. If you have a problem with your marketing strategy, go serve somebody. Because even if you have a problem with your marketing strategy and you don't get the order, it's not a big deal not to get the order and not to make a sale, but it's a sin not to know why you didn't get the order.
Right.
So you call up your prospect or your client who went with your competitor 2 weeks after you made your presentation, and you say, Mr. Jones, I understand that you went with our competitor, and I have no problem with that. But in our ongoing effort to sharpen our axe, Stephen Covey, our ongoing effort to fine-tune our market research, Tom Peters, can you tell us where we fell short of the mark?
Right.
So, sell your way out is the answer to all of your problems if you are living and working in a capitalistic society. And let me tell you something, Donna Marie, capitalism is not a dirty word. Capitalism means everything is for sale. That's all it means. You take the word capitalism, write it on a piece of paper, C-A-P-I-T-A-L-I-S-M. Take the Latin derivative of the word capitalism, C-A-P-U-T, kaput. What does it mean in Latin? It means head. What's the one thing you must use in order to survive in a free and open society? You must use your head. Mm-hmm. You see, we don't live in a society that is divided between rich versus poor, black versus white, liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, male versus female. No. But we do live in a society that is divided between dreamer versus non-dreamer. And people get in trouble in life not because they wanted too much. You'll get in trouble in life because you settled for too little.
So as a small business owner, we have, let's just say, because most of my listeners are very small business owners wearing all the hats, not a lot of options in terms
Well, if you're a small business owner, you're a small business owner in your mind. I mean, if you're telling me you're a small business owner because you're thinking small, I mean, the fact of the matter, you could be a small business owner, quote unquote, and you could be be in business 10, 15 years, and over the course of the 15 years, have 15 years of positive growth, positive sales, and you'd be in better shape than General Motors. Now, who's a small business owner?
Well,
General Motors hasn't had 14, 15, straight years of positive sales growth. So I'm just throwing that out there. You know what I mean? What thou seest, that thou beest.
No, and that's a really good point to make. And when I say small, I don't mean small thinking or small mindset.
Yeah.
What I mean is a business that's essentially run by a small number of people.
No problem.
Namely you.
Sole proprietorship. Yep.
And so, the thing that I really would like, and thank you so much for sharing how important it is to have the right kind of mindset. And I think this book does a really good job of sharing not only stories, but also, hard-hitting things that we can do, because you just said the world is divided between dreamers and non-dreamers.
That's right.
And so can we take that a step further and say, then, if you are a dreamer, then you'll stay that way unless you're also a doer?
Oh, without a doubt.
And
I mean, the fact of the matter is, when you look at this country, this is the first country on the planet of the earth in which freedom has been tried. So if you're going to tap into the opportunities, and opportunities no matter wherever and whenever they exist, you've got to have an open mind. You've got to be receptive to it. As a business owner in this free and open society, there are two traits and two qualities that you have got to be armed with. Number one, creativity. And what is creativity, Donna? It's the ability to come up with an idea. All right, I get up in the morning, I take a shower, I got 50 million ideas in that shower today. Creativity, the ability to develop and summon ideas. Well, that's only part of the equation. What do you need in addition to creativity? You need innovation. Dr. K, what the hell is innovation? It is the ability to execute the idea. You see, this economy that we have is driving and transferring and transforming so fast. You can be armed with the creativity. See, anybody can see down the street and spot a trend. Oh, I see what the young kids are using. They're using the iPhones now. They got the iPods. I see the clothes that they're wearing. Anybody can spot a trend. But you need innovation. You not only got to be able to see down the street, Donna, you got to be able to see around the corner. In other words, where is this trend going in, 5 years? Where will this trend be in, 3, 5, 6 years, blah, blah, blah. And that's the major stumbling block. You're in business to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to stay in business. And those are the two traits that will lead you on the fast track of success.
Okay, we're going to come back from our first break and talk about those two traits. The creativity, which I think most of my listeners have down in there. They've all created something really interesting and really useful. The innovation part, I think, is a part where most people, as you say, kind of stumble. This is Donna Maria. We're talking today with Dr. Dennis Kimbro, the author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. This is Indie Business Radio. We'll be right back.
Why is everyone listening to GlobalTalkRadio.com? Because it's the future of talk radio. Every day, more and more people are finding Internet radio as not just an alternative media, but as a replacement to traditional AM and FM broadcast stations. Internet radio offers a wider variety of programs, convenient on-demand listening that meets your schedule, and fewer commercial interruptions. And GlobalTalkRadio.com is already leading the way by matching this content with a highly targeted Internet audience. GlobalTalkRadio.com offers its listeners one of the widest programming varieties on the Internet, from business and finance to self-improvement, paranormal, health, literature, romance, politics, and more. There are also opportunities for prospective hosts who would like to host their own weekly or one-time talk shows. Want to learn more? Check us out at www.globaltalkradio.com and see the future of talk radio today.
Welcome back to Indie Business Radio. I'm your host, Donna Maria, and we're having an invigorating conversation today with author Dr. Dennis Kimbro. And he's been sharing with us some real hard-hitting advice. Hey, you guys, perk up, take some notes, and, make sure that this stuff is really sinking in, because business is, it's what you make it, and it's where you go with it and how you innovate. It reminds me, Dr. Kimbro, of something that I listened to not too long ago. The late David Carradine, the actor, was being asked about, how hard is it to be a success in Hollywood? How hard is it to make a name for yourself? And he said, well, there really aren't any unsuccessful people in Hollywood. There are just actors who just don't hang around long enough.
Yeah, he's exactly right. I was about to share with you, what do you have, 100,000, 200,000 actors and actresses and aspiring actors out there in Hollywood right now, and Donna, only a handful earn more than $1 million a picture. I mean, the average individual in Hollywood right now earns less than $12 an hour. And probably the greatest story that we saw with that is like Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise comes from a little small town in Ohio. He tells his parents, he says, man, you give me 10 years, to make it in Hollywood. And if I don't, I'll come back to Ohio, and I'll work in the mill for the rest of my life. Well, it took him 4, but now he's in excess of, $10, $15 million a film. Same thing with Sylvester Stallone, but it all goes back. A key component of that, and what Carradine is leading to, is persistence. And Donna, what is persistence? Persistence is the level of belief that you have in yourself. That's all it is. I mean, you are the only individual that keeps score. And in this business environment, everything counts. Everything counts. Persistence is the level of belief that you have in yourself. And so, that's the bottom line. There are 5 critical components to entrepreneurship. Number 1 is what they call, new venture creation. And what in the world is new venture creation? Well, you're walking around in your mind with the idea to start a business. You have this idea, you haven't made any moves on it, but your antenna is up, and no matter who you contact out in the community, you come back and you write it in your folio, you write it down on your legal pad. When I do launch, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So it's new venture creation. Number 2 is startup. And that startup, Donna, that's where you begin to galvanize your resources. That's when you begin to, look to see what your assets are, what your potential liability is going to be, how much money do you have, are you going to build this by a loan, are you going to use sweat equity and whatever. And what is the definition of entrepreneurship? The definition of entrepreneurship is pursuit of an opportunity without any regard to the resources at hand. That definition alone precludes the fact that you got to be persistent. Because you don't have the resources, you may not have the talent, you may not have the contacts, you may not have the money, whatever. But that doesn't mean that you're going to quit. So, the bottom line, Carradine, is so right on mark about, you got to persist if you're really going to make it today.
Well, let's explore that. I was expecting you to use the word risk somewhere when you define entrepreneurship. But I'm fascinated by the fact that you didn't. I'm going to repeat what you said. You said entrepreneurship is the pursuit of an opportunity without any regard to the resources at hand.
That's right.
Now, so what that does is it levels that mindset levels the playing field, does it not?
Well, it does in certain respects, and you're exactly right. It precludes the fact that you will take a risk. Taking a risk is not a problem. The problem is sometimes it's risky not to take the risk. Sometimes it's risky not to step out on the limb. Rather than saying, should I do this or should I do that? Sometimes it's risky not to take a risk. And probably the best example I can give you is Phil Knight of Nike Shoes. Nike brought me in, flew me in to speak to the team several times. And when I heard this story, it just literally blew me away. And we just got through with the NBA playoffs. When Magic Johnson played basketball, he played for the Los Angeles Lakers. And in the last year of his contract, he wore Converse shoes. And he begged Converse. Converse shoes at the time was a little small, athletic apparel company, outskirts of Boston. He begged them. He said, why don't you guys develop a gym shoe and name it after me? And Converse said, that's the dumbest thing we ever heard of. Who's going to buy a gym shoe named after an athlete? Now, we're talking the 1980s, all right? Well, Phil Knight of Nike Shoes and his little startup, and in 1984, you listen to me, Donna Maria, in 1984, Phil Knight was almost about to enter Chapter 11. Because when he launched his shoe company, it was only had one customer in mind. That was the weekend warrior. He did not even look at women.
Right.
And he probably wouldn't have looked at women until, Reebok and LA Gear and all those companies started coming out. Well, Phil Knight could see from a distance what Converse couldn't see up close. he gets a copy of the Chicago Bulls schedule, and he gets Michael Jordan's personal phone number. And he calls Michael Jordan in Chicago, and he says, "Hi, my name is Phil Knight of Nike Shoes, and I see when the Chicago Bulls are coming up to Portland to play the Trailblazers, I got a proposition for you." And the first thing Michael Jordan said when he answered the phone, he said, "How in the world did you get my phone number?" He said, don't worry about it. We see that you have an off date behind that game. Do us a big favor. Instead of flying back to Chicago with the team, come by our Beaverton headquarters. We want to take a mold of your foot. And Michael Jordan said, "Why?" And Phil Knight says, "We're thinking about developing a gym shoe and calling it the Air Jordan." All Phil Knight wanted out of the deal, Donna, all he wanted out of the deal was $10 million, enough to recoup his first production run of Air Jordans. First production run of Air Jordans, $130 million. When Michael Jordan retired officially from the Washington Wizards or whatever, he retired as the third largest sporting good apparel company in the world. Number one is Nike, number two is Reebok, number three is that Air Jordan brand. Sometimes it's risky not to take a risk. And you can see the same thing in Bill Gates.
Right.
I mean, when Bill Gates drops out of Harvard, goes to the desert, New Mexico, for the next 7 years of his life to come up with an operating system that will allow two computers to talk. I mean, after 7 years of walking this walk, of starving for 7 years, this was Bill Gates' road to Damascus. This was his Saul to Paul conversion. This was Bill Gates' Jonah in the belly of the whale. The first thing he does, he picks up the phone and he calls the president of Encyclopedia Britannica. "Don't listen to me. Go get the Harvard case and read this case." And the president of Encyclopedia Britannica tells Bill Gates, he says, "Listen," Bill Gates says, "if you get on our desktop, you can sell all the Encyclopedia Britannicas you want for $10 a pop." And the president of Encyclopedia Britannica tells Bill Gates, "Young man, are you out of your mind? $10 a pop. We sell our volumes for $1,000 a set. Please call somebody else," and hangs up on Bill Gates. The second phone call Bill Gates makes is to Encarta. And now today, Encyclopedia Britannica can't even give their books away.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you use that, yeah, it's risky, yeah.
So the Encyclopedia Britannica person was obviously short-sighted. Wasn't looking into the future, or just
That's right.
Was not innovative at all. In hindsight, we know that.
You've got to be armed with innovation, the ability to not only to execute, but the ability to see around the corner, and particularly the way that information moves so fast.
Right. So Bill Gates, so the mindset that he had, now you just said he had been in business he dropped out of Harvard, which I'm sure was a real thrill for his parents. And he,
and some people say he dropped, go ahead.
But, I mean, just pursuing something that, I mean, back then, from my reading, no one understood at all what he was talking about. His mind was so far around that corner that no one was there. So, but he persisted, even though, as you said, he was practically broke and everything. So I think that's that window of time. I think Seth Godin calls it the dip. It's like the period of time after you've had the idea, you've put it together, your prototype, or you're actually already selling it, and then there's this dry period, as you called it, the being in the belly of the well, where...
And it's really not a dry period, it's a refining period.
Okay,
the average individual in our society, Donna, gets 4 ideas a year, any one of which, if they had the guts, the courage, the fortitude to chase their dream, will make them financially independent. But what do we do with it? Or we dismiss it. Or what do we do with it? Donna, you could do that. I could never do that. Or what do we do with it? Hey, my next door neighbor tried that and blew up in his face. Well, what do we do with it? The opportunity, the timing isn't right. No, the timing is perfect. Where do ideas come from? I mean, an idea is completely ethereal. An idea comes from your creator, the Almighty, your superconscious, knocking on your subconscious mind, asking you, do you want more out of life? And the only way that you do that is to find your area of excellence, for you to take that first step. And when you find your area of excellence, the number one reason why you were born, the number one purpose, you're going to chase your vision. You don't have any rivals. You don't have to worry about competition. This is what you were born to do. You think Patti LaBelle was born to do anything but sing? You think, Kobe Bryant was born to do anything more than shoot baskets? Do you think, that Steve Jobs was born to do anything but, write computer programs? I mean, when you are in, and that's what they call it, in the zone. Feed the ball to Michael Jordan. He can't miss. Why? he's in the zone. Well,
yeah.
Donna, you're in the zone right now. I mean, hey, I don't know if I could ever host a radio show. I interview people and everything, but to do it on a daily basis, oh, man. I mean, I met Oprah Winfrey, and I said, man, I can't believe you do this day in and day out. To me, I mean, that would be pretty boring to me, or I'd be a nervous wreck. You know what she says? Oh, to me, it's like breathing.
It's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I do. So what you're describing, though, is it's a mindset. As you said, it's a zone. And so I think the challenge is to help people get from everyday thinking, looking at the world the way most people look at it, I should say,
yep.
and looking at it in a different way. And you hit on something a minute ago when you said it's not the desert, it's refining.
Yep.
And when you switch that paradigm, so much changes. So my question to you is this. We're busy. We've got kids. We're running around from A to B and X, Y, Z, and we know part of our mission in life may to be successful in business. But, you know, we got kids. We got other things we must do as well that are just as important as this. Where do we find that zone? Do we get up in the morning and read a chapter from your book? What are some things that you have seen other successful people do to get in that zone? Because they all didn't start there, right?
Yeah. Well, number one, they would never use the kids as an excuse. They would use the kids as a reason why. Number two, it's not a choice or a balancing act. We hear that, and I can say it because I'm the father of 3 college-educated married daughters, man. You know, women looking for no, it's not balancing. It's blending. I mean, it's incorporating people that you love and admire and that you want to spend time with in what you do. So the vision comes first. When you find your area of excellence, when you find the one reason why you have been placed on earth, you know, to use the old rap metaphor, it's game over. I mean, it's really. I mean, you don't have to go any further, you know, because you have such a peace of mind. And I'm glad I said that, because very few people realize this, Donna. What we call success, this country throws a dollar figure on it, and you can't do that unless that is your goal to earn X amount of dollars, whatever. But success is the encapsulation, of a 6-pointed star. And you can judge, you can gauge wherever you are in life by the various points of the star that you've incorporated in your life. So number one is not money. Number one is peace of mind. Mm-hmm. And what is peace of mind? Peace of mind is the absence of all negative emotions. Fear, anger, jealousy, hatred, guilt, greed. So you get this idea to start your own radio show, and you don't pursue it, Donna. Will you have peace of mind?
No, it would have bothered me.
That's right. It would drive you crazy until you pursued that passion.
Well,
so you're already successful.
I've been doing it since 2005, and last year I thought, you know, I've got so many shows in the can, I'm going to do something else. And I let a few people know that I was going to have a special show to end the 4-year run, and I thought about it for a few days, and I went, it won't be right. It's part of what I do. So is that kind of the zone that you're talking about when you have found?
Yeah, you're already successful. you know, just like, you know, the master is at the end of the street, and the blind man says, oh, man, his buddy says, you know, the master is down there. And he says, please take me to him. And they take the blind man down there, and the blind man, you know, the first question Jesus says, well, what is it that you want? Mm-hmm. And the blind man begins to spew all the nonsense he heard over his entire life. He says, oh, you were with Ezekiel. Oh, you were with Joshua when the sun stopped. You were with Jonah. But Jesus says, what is it that you want? He said, you were with Jonah in the belly of the whale. Oh, man, you were with David the slave. Jesus says, son, man, what is it that you want? Right. And he says, I wish to be whole. And what does he say? You know, the kingdom is within.
Right.
And because he said, oh, I see, he saw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so...
And listen, I'm not talking about religion. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about success. Everything happens to you twice in life. First the inner, then the outer. First the thought, then the thing. First the mental, and then the physical. And to the extent that you control what goes on the inside of your life, you'll control what goes on the outside.
Let's talk more about the 6-pointed star. No, that's incredible, and I think
that's Stephen Covey.
Well,
I mean, so number one is peace of mind. Number two is health and energy. I mean, listen, you won't have peace of mind if your body is ravaged by pain, if your body is ravaged by disease. And Donna, what is disease? It's dis-ease.
Right.
Is
stars. We've got the contentment, the peace of mind, and we've got the health.
And number 3 is loving relationships. And I'm not talking about love between man and woman, love between you and your spouse or your significant other. No, I'm not talking about that love. I'm talking about love of self, and not in a narcissistic standpoint. I'm talking about self-esteem.
Good, and we're going to have to take a break. My engineer's yelling at me. We're going to take a quick break and come back and get with the rest of those stars. And we'll be talking with Dr. Dennis Kimbro, author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. We'll be right back.
Want to stay on top of what's new in the radio industry? Sign up for a free subscription to the Future of Talk Radio, available exclusively to listeners of globaltalkradio.com, and find out what's new in the world of online radio. Listeners can find out about new shows and special guests. People with something special to offer can find out how to become a guest and how to prepare for an interview. And prospective hosts will find a valuable resource for everything from planning their new program to selecting topics and guests, recouping expenses by selling advertising, and more. Sign up today for your free subscription to the Future of Talk Radio by visiting www.globaltalkradio.com and learn about the future of talk radio today.
Welcome back to Indie Business Radio. We're here having a great discussion with Dr. Dennis Kimbro, author of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. And before we took our break, he was sharing with us the 6 points of success when it comes to being successful in life and in business. And the first one is peace of mind. The second one is health and energy. And he was sharing with us the third one, loving relationships, before we broke.
Yeah, loving relationships in terms of who you are, love of self, and not in a narcissistic standpoint. I'm talking about high self-esteem. Do you value yourself? I mean, the bottom line, Donna, you can't grow in business until you grow in life. So you're going to need some professional development. You're going to need some self-development if you're really going to take your business to the next level, either from startup, it's going to be startup or launch, or taking it through all 5 phases of entrepreneurship. The fourth step is financial freedom and financial independence. And here's critical point. You know, your level of financial freedom and financial independence is different for different people. For some, it might be $200 a month. For others, you know, they got to be a millionaire. And I go back to all the interviews that I had. I interviewed more than 150 of black high achievers, peak performers. You name them, and I probably met them or interviewed them. And Donna, I was armed with the same 3-page questionnaire. So no matter if I interviewed Earl Graves of Black Enterprise Magazine or Walter Turnbull, founder of the Harlem Boys Choir, or Don King, the pipe promoter, I asked the same questions over and over again. So I remember I was with Walter Turnbull, founder of the Harlem Boys Choir, and I said, Dr. Turnbull, let me ask you a question that you're very rarely asked. He said, fine, go ahead. I said, will you define wealth? I mean, what is wealth? What is, wealth to you? And Donna, don't you know, he started crying on me. I mean, I'm seated right across from his desk, and I thought that I offended him. I said, Dr. Turnbull, if I said something to offend you, I apologize. I just want to know your definition of wealth. He said, just give me a few minutes. As he was drying his eyes, I'll be okay. He said, my definition of wealth? I said, yeah. He said, wealth is hearing the voices of my boys.
Oh, wow.
When I interviewed John Johnson, the founder and publisher of Ebony Magazine, and I said to him, I was in his office in Chicago, and I said, Mr. Johnson, if you weren't publishing Ebony Magazine, what would you be doing? And he has in front of him on his desk a mock cover of an upcoming issue. And he picks it up, and he draws it to his face, and he says, I love magazines. I love the way they feel. I love the colors. I love the texture. How are you going to beat an individual like this? When I interviewed Don King, the fight promoter, I said, what is your definition of wealth? He says, I must and I have to be Black America's first billionaire. The bottom line is different for different people. You can't put a dollar figure on that. It is only important to that individual. And then the last two, number one, sense of meaning and purpose. Stopping to smell all the roses along the way. The bottom line, Donna, you're only here to make a difference. You're only here to do 4 things. Number one, make a difference. Number 2, make a difference with others who want to make a difference. Number 3, make a difference with others who want to make a difference question, Donna, are you having fun? Mm-hmm. And then last but not least, leaving your legacy. Donna, no, you tell me the day. I know we're on the phone right now, but I want you to get a plane or whatever. No, you fly to Atlanta, you come to my house, you sit in my study where I'm seated right now, and damn it, girl, you look me in the eye and tell me why you are here. Mm-hmm. Why this world is going to be better because you're here. When it's all said and done, what will others say about you? I don't care. Go get an MBA from Harvard. Go get an MBA degree from the Stern School at NYU. The first assignment they will give you at the Stern School at NYU, they want to know, hey, write your own eulogy. Well, why do you want me to write my own eulogy? I want to know what others are going to say about you. I want to know what you're going to accomplish in life, how people are going to feel when you make a transition. Go get an MBA from Harvard. The first assignment you will be given at Harvard B School is to write your own obituary. And they tell you at Harvard Business School, when you die, make sure that your obituary appears on the pages of the New York Times. Why? Because only people who are noteworthy get their obituary on the pages of the New York Times. The bottom line, when it's all said and done, what will others say about you?
What kind of a difference have you made?
Yeah.
So everyone listening to the show can stop and answer that question right now and connect that to their business. And
that's why you do what you do. Yep.
Exactly. And so is one of the things you're saying, Dr. Kimbro, is the difference between people who ultimately achieve in their field or their chosen business and people who don't is partly simply because they have really that passion, that they have identified that thing that drives them to do what they're doing.
Oh, without a doubt. They have found early in this process their area of excellence.
So
and sooner or later,
what do you say to someone who wants to be in business? I know I want to be an entrepreneur. It's not for me to work for someone else. But I have 25 billion things that I do well and love. Where does someone with that level of creativity go with that? What do you pick?
It all goes back to one moral compass. It all goes back to the center, to the crosshairs of your area of excellence. And you have got to ask yourself 3 critical questions in order to find your area of excellence. Question number 1, what do I love to do? What do I have a passion for? What can I throw my whole heart and soul into? Question number 2, what would I do for free? I mean, if no one ever paid me a dime, if no one ever gave me a financial reward for my efforts, what would I do for free?
Okay.
Because when you're doing what you love to do, and you would do it for free, your work is your play.
Right.
And if your work is your play, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's
and question number 3, Donna, what comes easy to me but difficult to somebody else? You see, what Michael Porter at Harvard Business School, one of the top professors at Harvard, says, what is your area of unfair competitive advantage? You see, if I took a fish out of the water, I got a fish tank, and I take that fish out of the water, that fish would struggle to breathe. It would the longer I would keep it out of water, you would just see that back fin just moving ever so slowly, ever so slowly. But then I go ahead and put it in the water and look at it. It just takes off 50 million miles an hour over here, over there. Blah, blah. Why? Because it's in its element. When were you going to be in your element?
Right.
And that's what you need in order to find your area of excellence. This is what I've been born to do. This is what I will do. This is what I will have. No one's going to stop me. Why? Because I am operating completely and fully engaged.
And in order to do that, you really have to practice decisiveness, right? Because many of us, okay.
Yeah, and the decisiveness, that's a cornerstone to empowerment. Everybody wants to be personally empowered. There's only 2 things in order you got to do to be personally empowered, and anybody can do this. Number 1, when given a task or assignment, complete it to the best of your ability. When given a task or assignment, complete it to the best of your ability. And number 2, always go the extra mile. Always go the extra mile. I interviewed, I don't know if you ever watched Donald Trump, The Apprentice.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And I interviewed the 2 black winners, Kwame Jackson. Well, he wasn't a black winner, he was a runner-up. But I also interviewed Randall Pinkett.
Right.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And I had both of these gentlemen a couple years ago in New Orleans. And damn it, Donna, you listen to me, girl. And I said to him, what did you learn from the billionaire Donald Trump? I said, Kwame, you were around Trump for 6 months. Randall, you were with him for 18 months. You were with him for a year and a half. What did the billionaire Donald Trump teach you? And almost in unison, they said to me, if we learned anything from Trump, it's be the best. That's all the man ever talked about. Be the best. Take on any challenge, overcome any obstacle, take any path, do whatever whatever you got to do, but be the best. And when you become the best, don't keep it a secret. Tell the world about it, because there's no limit what people will pay for the best. No one wants second best. They only want the best.
And there's really no reason to be in business unless that's your goal.
That's right. That's right. There's only 2 deliveries the customer ever remembers, one that comes early and one that comes late. So,
right, and I guess one that comes on time.
That's right. I'm a college professor, and there's only two students I can ever recall, I ever remember. The excellent student, the one that always exceeded,
right,
and the lousy student.
Right.
The one that always complained, the one that was always a slacker.
So mediocrity is the enemy in many
Oh, without a doubt. No, mediocrity is not the enemy. Mediocrity, what is the opposite of success?
Failure.
No, the opposite of success is not failure. The opposite of success is conformity. You will never succeed conforming to the wishes, norms, and mores of others.
So whatever it is that we're doing, we can all sort of take a look at whatever it is we're doing, try to synopsize this for the listeners. Whatever business you have, whatever it is that you're doing, pursuing conforming with what other people are doing is the first thing that's going to essentially.
Yeah, how can I make this business better? How can I deliver a better product? Where is the marketplace going in 3, 4, 5, 6 months?
Because what I see so many people doing is looking at what other people are doing and then switching things around a little bit and doing the same thing.
I know. I mean, all you got to do is look at Herb Kelleher of Southwest Airlines. He built that airlines because he dared to ask one question. You know what that question is? Yeah. How many of my competitors have I made envious today?
Okay.
I mean, if you're doing it the way it's always been done. Listen, 9 times out of 10, and I know there are exceptions to everything, but if you're doing it the way it's always been done, sometimes it's not being done the right way.
And it's certainly probably not going to get you anywhere that somebody else hasn't already been.
Exactly.
And when you're focusing on what that legacy is that you want to leave, that's not what you want. You want something different. And so in a nutshell, when we talk about Think and Grow Rich, a book like this, how can a tool like this help us to change our mindset? Everything that you're saying sounds so great. Well,
and number one, that's all you are. You mentioned it. You hit the nail right on the head when you said change your mindset.
Okay.
What are the words, pictures, and images going through the mind of the successful person? Well, they think about dreams. They think about vision. They think about productivity. They think about yield. They think about growth. They think about the 2 words, I can. What are the words, pictures, and images going through the mind of the unsuccessful person? Well, Donna, they think about lack, and they think about scarcity. They think about, oh, woe is me. And they think about, man, I couldn't do that. And they think about the 2 words, I can. You are a mental being. You're not physical. You are a mental being, and all you got to do is change the data on the diskettes.
So some practical tips that we can do. I mean, is it sometimes as simple as doing things like this, posting the little mantras around your bedroom or your...
No, it's a part of a strategic plan. Every company does that. Every company does it. You know how many world headquarters I've been in, from Hewlett-Packard to Intel to Apple Computer. As soon as you go in the lobby, I mean, you call it little mantras, whatever, you go in the lobby, you should see the bold statements they have on their walls. You should see the bold statements that they have on their walls. I mean, back in November, I'm at the Duke School of Business, at Fuqua School of Business. Right. What is it, number 6, number 7 in the nation?
Right.
And you should see the bold statements that they have written that they want everybody to know. These are our values. This is where we're going in life. So if it works for corporate America, if it works for the best business school, why wouldn't it work for you?
So putting those things, as you said earlier, you're putting things inside of you that eventually come out in order to facilitate what it is that you want to do.
Donna, what thou seest, that thou beest.
So it really is feeding ourselves a constant and steady diet of empowering people like you listening to it on the radio show or reading the books. And as you said earlier, making a difference with other people. And I think that must be critical, right? Being around other people who are making a difference, even if that difference is different from yours.
Taking in new information. One of the common chords that I found in all the interviews that I had, these guys and women, voracious readers, take in the new information. They were inner directed versus outer directed. They weren't so quick to believe well-meaning friends or family members who say, you can't do that, you can't do that.
Right.
And the bottom line, they became a sponge. Anything that they heard, anything that they could apply, anything that would sharpen their axe, make them better, they were certainly all well for the wear.
Wow. Okay. So, your book, and I would encourage everyone to get this, and also, would you not, Dr. Kimbro, encourage people to study other writings by Napoleon?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Like I said, he wrote 16 books.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think some of them are actually available on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yes.
Right.
And, your listeners should certainly go to my website, DennisKimbro.com.
Right. And you're a professor at Clark Atlanta. Tell us where. Can we go hear you speak? Do you speak at different places where we can?
All over.
Okay. Is your schedule at your website? How do we find
out?
Where
you can go to my website and get any information that you need about the presentations, whatever.
DennisKimbro.com.
DennisKimbro.com.
Well, don't be surprised if you see me in your living room one day, explaining my reason for being and asking you how I'm
doing. I would
doing.
Appreciate it. I'll take you out to dinner if you do that, I promise.
Well, this has been a fascinating show. I know that I feel very invigorated for having listened to you, and I hope that everyone listening out there as well, you have a business, maybe you don't have one yet, you have an idea, you have a seed of an idea. Take the 6 points, the 6-pointed star of success that Dr. Kimbro talked about. Think about some of the things that he shared about, avoiding conformity and doing something different, and even writing your eulogy. What difference are you going to make? What difference is your business going to make in the scheme of things? Those are some really good places to start. And we thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a wonderful show, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you down there in Atlanta in your living room.
There you go, Donna. Have a great day.
Front door. Very nice to meet you. Thanks, everyone, for joining. I'll see you next week. In the meantime, enjoy your life, build your business, and have your way.
You're listening to GlobalTalkRadio.com.